How to fill the reservoir. The reservoir assembly comes in sterile packaging and is intended for a single use. Do not use the system components of the reservoir assembly if the sterile packaging was previously opened or damaged. You should have the following system components ready: a new reservoir, a vial of your insulin, a sterile alcohol wipe, and the diabetes manager. To replace the reservoir, tap the reservoir symbol on the status screen of your diabetes manager. In the replacement menu, tap Reservoir, then tap Replace. The pump will make a beep. Remove the used reservoir from the micropump and dispose according to local regulations. Tap Done on the Diabetes Manager. Ensure that the insulin is at room temperature. Swab the top face of the insulin vial with a sterile alcohol wipe. To get started, remove the new reservoir assembly from the packaging. Carefully pull out the battery's protective film downwards in the direction of the arrow to activate the battery. Firmly hold the round part of the handle and pull it downwards in the direction of the arrow. Fill the reservoir with the volume of air that you later want to fill with insulin. Put the insulin vial on a flat surface. Place the filling aid onto the vial. Push the filling aid downwards until you hear it click into place. Gently press the handle fully downwards to fill the insulin vial with air. Hold your thumb under the handle so that the air remains in the vial and everything stays in place. Then turn the reservoir assembly together with the insulin vial upside down so that the vial is above the reservoir. Then slowly release the handle to let the piston rod move downwards. Continue pulling the handle until the reservoir is filled with the desired amount of insulin. Make sure that there are no air bubbles in the reservoir. Hold the reservoir at an angle with the filling aid at highest point. Tap against the reservoir with your finger to make any air bubbles move in the direction of the filling aid. Slowly push the handle aid upwards in the direction of the arrow to remove air bubbles from the reservoir. Slowly pull the handle aid downwards in the direction of the arrow until the reservoir is filled with the required amount of insulin again. Check the reservoir from several angles to make sure that there are no air bubbles in the reservoir. If needed, perform the before described step again until you don't see any air bubble in the reservoir. Don't use the top end of the piston rod as an indicator for reading the scale. Instead, take the white line right above the black rubber ring as a guideline to measure the amount of insulin. Here the reservoir is filled with 150 insulin units. Detach the filling aid from the reservoir by removing it sideward in the direction of the arrow. Caution! There is a risk of injury by the filling aid and reservoir needle. Dispose of the filling aid according to local regulations. Gently compress the handle aid on the ribbed surface and then remove the handling aid laterally from the piston rod. Dispose of the handle. Align the piston rod of the filled reservoir and the piston rod opening of the pump base. Afterwards, hold the pump base with one hand and the reservoir with the other. Push the filled reservoir onto the pump base until both parts are tightly connected. After connecting the reservoir to the pump base issues a beep to confirm that the system components are correctly connected and the battery is activated. Now take up your diabetes manager. Tap Done to confirm that you performed the 2 steps of filling the reservoir and connecting it to the pump base. Use the minus and plus icon to set the insulin units that you filled into the reservoir. Afterwards, tap Save. Tap Fill to fill the reservoir needle on the Diabetes Manager. Once you can see a drop of insulin on the reservoir needle, tap OK. Don't be surprised, this process can take up to 2 minutes. Attach the micropump to the infusion assembly. Check first if the needle in the reservoir is perpendicular and not kinked. Tap Next. To confirm this step and reactivate the micropump with the previously defined basal rate, press the insulin button.